Two fans, 12 rings. Jeff, Brad, what's going on, dude?
Not a whole lot. Just trying to keep my sanity after just fucking the worst soccer game I ever seen in my entire life.
Did you guys not win 3-2?
No, we lost 4-3.
That's tough. My bad. Literally,
yeah, we were up 2-0. We were up 2-0. There was a no call that got brought back. VAR gave our player a red card. We allowed a goal shortly after. Then we gave up a PK. It became 2-2. We earned a PK, made it 3-2, and then they scored in the 82nd and 87th minute up a guy, and we lost 4-3 in the Champions League away to Copenhagen.
So as long as I've known you, your two powerhouses are the Steelers and Man U. And obviously there's, at this point, you've kind of talked about this on the pod, there are more teams that have kind of entered that bubble, if you will, that kind of pull your heartstrings a little harder than others. But I wanted to talk to you about this because I've never experienced this. We've talked where the losses hit us a little harder than others and the wins mean more to us than others. If you fall into that, if you're listening to this and you fall into that category, you can relate to what Brad and I go through on a typical football weekend, where we celebrate the wins as hard as anybody and we take the losses a little bit harder than people. But I wanted to bring this up because this happened to you 2 weeks ago, where you witnessed Manchester United losing a rivalry game, and then literally within hours, the Steelers then lose. And this isn't a trolling moment. Where are you at mentally, like going from that game into immediately watching your next team and they lose as well?
You try your best to manage expectations.
Yeah.
If you can win a game or if you can lose. So I tried not to put all my eggs in one basket of Manchester United that day because they played in the Premier League. And although it's a rivalry game, the Steelers, each win, it all matters. But yeah, it's just makes for a shitty day. It's just so hard because, tonight, you want Manchester United to win and then carry that momentum right into the Dallas Mavericks and Luka tonight at 8:40. But it's like, now I just got to completely reset. I got to throw it all down. I put Texas gear on just to think about something a little bit better, seventh in the nation. But, yeah, it's absolutely tough. And, it's coming right off the back of yesterday. I work at 5 a.m. and I try to make it all day. The Penguins play at 10 p.m. against a team on a 6-game win streak who have given the Golden Knights and the Boston Bruins their only losses of the season. I fall asleep, wake up, find out Penguins won 2-0. Watch it and really enjoy that dramatic win. So it's just been tough. It's been a lot of ups and downs, backup quarterbacks, bad quarterbacks, the team's in shambles in soccer. The Penguins are at the bottom of the Metropolitan Division. There's just not a lot of, now you're just trying to ride the ebbs and flows, but it's tough because I just be sulking around the house, but got to do the podcast, got to get back into it, think about how the Steelers are winning football games. And I don't know, sometimes it sucks when both teams lose or multiple teams lose, but it seems like there's always a win to get you out of that rut, because I do like a lot of teams enough to where a lot of times I get pulled out by other teams doing well. Penguins won last night, Mavs hopefully win tonight, and we have an unfortunate loss sandwiched in the middle.
Well, the two topics we try to always hit, Steelers, Patriots. Let's start with the Steelers. So 2 weeks ago, we were just talking about this. You guys suffer a loss 20-10 to the Jaguars. Very good football team. Kenny Pickett goes down in that game. But you do rebound on a short week, and you beat a very well-coached team that's starting a rookie quarterback in Will Levis. So you're 1-1 in the last two, but 5-3 overall. Got to feel pretty good about yourself. As of today, you are currently the 5th seed. So obviously, you're right on track with kind of where your expectations were this year for the Steelers as making the playoffs, competing for the division. The Ravens are obviously very good. But and I believe you guys beat the Ravens this year, correct?
Yeah, we beat the Ravens and Browns.
That's what I thought. So talk to me about the Steelers, how you're feeling these last couple of weeks, how you're feeling heading into this week, where you're at with the team.
Yeah, so, a lot of times you like to say I'll start with this. I do like to stand up for Kenny a lot. He takes a lot of hits, and Matt Canada does put our offense in a lot of bad positions. But I believe on Thursday, Matt Canada comes down to the sideline and just calls an absolute tremendous game. Just call how this game, and Kenny was just missing guys. Tough guy, wanted to play through the ribs, really made a meal of it. Fortunately for us, playing a rookie quarterback, defense gets after him, we win games. A lot of times people would say, does it suck to have a division that's so good? And yes and no. Yes, it sucks that everybody's so good and it's tough to just run away with good wins. But at the same time, a lot of the great teams you play, inside and out. And it gives you a little bit of an advantage to even out. So 2-0 in division, feel great about the team. I feel good about going third straight home game off of a long week playing against the Packers this week. Jordan Love, another rookie quarterback coming into Acrisure. I like where the team's at, but it just seems like when you have an offensive coordinator that isn't great, a quarterback that isn't great, and an O-line that isn't great, how long can you sustain getting victories? And every time you do, you look around the division and they're all winning too. So it does suck, but although the Steelers seem gettable, I don't think anybody wants to play the Steelers.
I think that's really fair. Yeah, I think the one thing I brought up, shout out Dave Hazelton, I know he'll listen to this, big Steeler fan. The one thing I brought up to him was just like, dude, Kenny needs to stay on the field. The dude's always getting hurt. Like, he's just an injury-prone quarterback at this point. And now, mind you, none of them have been long-term. Yeah. But it seems like he does get dinged up an awful lot. And obviously, I don't watch a lot of Steeler games unless they're on prime time. But it's like, is he putting himself in harm's way? Is he doing this? Is he doing that? I do think that, like, losing to the Jags isn't the end of the world. You got 3 losses. The Niners, the Texans, and the Jaguars. Niners, I'm not dead on. We'll talk about the Niners, plus, trust me. The Jags, I'm super high on. I think you've probably come to my level, maybe. And then we'll talk about them, too. And the Texans and C.J. Stroud, we'll talk about them as well. Holy hell, they have been incredible. So, really, you have probably the best 3 losses in the entire league, if I had to guess. But, you do have arguably the best win, too, beating the Ravens, one of the best football teams in the league right now. So, I don't know. Ultimately, I had you as a 10-win football team. You're on pace for that. It's wild because I don't now see you as a 10-win team, if that makes any sense. But you're on pace for that. So it's like, here we are. I don't know. I just you got to feel somewhat decent. But like you said, they feel like they can get got. But yet at the same time, they scratch, claw, plead, and all of a sudden they get the dub. So.
Yeah, some really good losses, like you point out, 49ers, top tier team, Jaguars, who've been tremendous, and the loss to the Texans. If you're into this kind of nugget, I mean, it was on J.J. Watt night in down, and so big event for the whole city. But it's neither there. The Steelers' schedule gets tougher. I mean, we talk about how good the division is. We still got 4 of those games left. Still got 4 of those games left in our last 9 games. So it's tough sledding.
Yeah. Moving on, the Patriots these last couple weeks. First off, the last time we talked, they had just beaten the Bills. Okay. And we were kind of predicting how they would look against the Dolphins. And I told you, like, I'm pumping the brakes. This was a one-off game. There's things that I've seen that I liked, but this is a one-off game. We've never beat Tua. I mean, yeah. These last 2 weeks, back down to where these Patriots are. It is staggering this year at the point totals this team puts up. Hang on here. I'm going to look it up real quick. But this team, this almost seems fake. Week 1, they put up 20 points in a loss. Week 2, they put up 17 in a loss. Week 3, they put up 15 in a win. Week 4, 3 points in a loss, 0 points in a loss, 17, 29 in a win, 17 and 17. This team is literally 17 points. That's what they are. A couple weeks ago, I lost a parlay because I bet that they would score over 17.5 points. Guess how many they scored? 17. It's just like, this is who they are. It's honestly a disgusting watch. And, obviously I'm going to celebrate the wins. I'm going to root them on. I'm going to cheer for them. I'm going to watch the games. But at this time, I'm out on them. I don't know that they can beat the Colts. Because say what you want about the Colts, they're not a great team. They're like the only team to score 24 every single game or something like that.
Week 7, they scored 20 plus in every game. Yeah,
they scored 20 plus in every game. And how many times we've scored 20? I just read it off, but it's 2 times. 2 times. So yeah, I'm gonna go with a loss. I think that's fair. Like, that's who we are now. And the Colts aren't even good, but neither are the Patriots. And I don't want to take up a ton of time on this talk about them, but go ahead with any opinions you have.
Something that was funny to me is I saw that the Patriots have scored 135 points this year, and through what is it, 9 weeks, maybe 8 or 9 games. How many have they played? They've played 9 games, so 135 points. I'm just gonna read some of the other teams that haven't scored 150 points yet. Giants, 2 I'll go with the Cardinals at 151. They are 1-8. The Panthers have scored 140. They're 1-7. The Titans have scored 148. They're 3-5. The Jets have scored 132. They're 4-4. I just was saying that's funny because I was getting to the Steelers have scored 133. The Steelers have scored 2 less points than the Patriots, and they're 5-3. That's insane. So think about how awful it is to watch this Patriots and the fact that they can't get to 17. Imagine being 5-3 with the same exact team you have. Like, it's bizarre.
Do you happen to have the points given up?
The points given up? Yeah, I can go to that too.
Because I do wonder where our difference is, because we've had 2 blowout losses, but every other game's been close.
So the Patriots have allowed 228. The Steelers have allowed 163.
It's not even close.
65 less points.
Yeah, it's not even close. And so your point differential is currently negative.
Yeah, and if you want to go to a different team too, the Jets, who are 4-4, they've scored 132 and allowed only 156.
Yeah, so right now your point differential is negative, but you could almost attest all of that to 2 games. The Niners.
So check this out. We lost by 30.7-7 against the 49ers, correct?
I think so.
I believe I'm right in saying. No, it was 30-7. So we lost by 23 to the Niners and 10 to the Jags. That's 30 points. 33. Yeah, our point differential is negative 33 on the entire season. Actually, I know we're kind of off track here, but we lost by 24 points to the Texans.
So you got blown up by the Texans too.
Our loss double digits.
So basically, if it's a 1-score game, you're winning the game.
Yeah, and I mean, there's some people, shout out Bloody, that want to fire Mike Tomlin, and it's just crazy. Well, he's got to do better though. With his hiring, he's got to do better. We need better coaching staff around him, I think.
Yeah, here's the thing. And I mean this like without taking a dig, because I have all the respect for obviously you and the Steelers, but the Steelers, and I had this talk with Dave Hazels, and again, shout out. I couldn't remember the last time you guys won a playoff game. We had to do some digging.
2018.
It's been a long time, Brad.
Dolphins in 2018, I think.
And again, the Patriots have more recently won a Super Bowl, which was an eternity ago, it feels like, than the Steelers won a playoff game. So it's just like, at some point, the Patriots are willing to literally fire their 6th Super Bowl head coach. And because the Steelers go 8-8 every year without a losing record, their fan base, a lot of them are like, oh, we would never fire Mike Tomlin. So kind of honestly, I have respect for both opinions, obviously, but kudos to your dad for kind of wanting more. That's fair. Michigan fans wanted more out of Harbaugh. He finally started to deliver that. But the ones that wanted him fired, I never really pushed back on that because it's like, I understand you want a little bit more. I would want a little bit more too. And we're finally getting that. We obviously had to cheat to get it, but hey,
This could turn into a long conversation, so I'll keep it short. But the way I've always talked about it is, no matter how bad we are anywhere on the team, we are always good enough to win any given Sunday. And as a fan, you get the enjoyment. You have a chance every time you step out of the field forever under Mike Tomlin. There has not been any game that we've lost in the playoffs when we made it where I thought to myself, what is Mike Tomlin doing? Yeah. It's an awful performance by players or a group, and it's like Mike Tomlin the one playoff game we lost to Jalen Ramsey and Blake Bortles in that Jaguars team.
Yeah.
That number one defense was touted, and they talked their crap after the game. I think 5 touchdowns on them and lost to Blake Bortles.
Yeah, it was like 40-40. Like, yeah.
Correct. But it's like, or there's times where we lost to the Browns in the playoffs. I don't know if Mike Tomlin drew up Pouncey snapping it into the end zone the first play of the game and Ben throwing a pick on the next drive. Like, I've always thought that when we lose in those big games, it was like the quarterback just took a shit, or like, how are we not stopping people? I've just never thought like, Mike, why are you doing that? Like, there's been overwhelmingly more times I thought we won because Mike Tomlin's such a good coach than we lost because he wasn't a good enough coach. I guess that's where I'm at. We all want more as Steelers fans. We have 6 Super Bowls. I mean, they're out here influencing names of podcasts. But, I mean, Patriots, Steelers, in the grand scheme of things, both, if you're a mutual party listening, you probably think both of our teams are trash this year. So, I mean, I don't know how much time we want to spend on it.
No, but what you just did was completely what I was looking for. So here's where we're at next. I think this is probably the next topic of conversation, a division foe for you. Couple weeks back, they were 1-3. Yeah. They had just lost to Tennessee, and you were planting your flag that they were dead. And I said, well, if Joe Burrow throws 4 touchdowns against the Cardinals, you're going to be backpedaling really quick. He only threw 3, and you said you liked the win, and obviously they looked good, but you reserved a right to wait. And we haven't really talked since then. But since they were 1-3, Joe Burrow has 10 touchdowns, 2 picks, over 1,000 yards passing, and has looked incredible.
Yeah.
Where are you at on the Bengals?
Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, post-week 4 Joe Burrow. It's a slow starting team.
Yeah.
Play the Bengals. Nobody wants to play the Bengals. If every team in the AFC is hoping that the Chiefs and Bengals play each other before they have to play both this year in the postseason.
1,000%.
And they're the only team that the other doesn't want to see. The Chiefs would rather play the Eagles than the Bengals.
Yeah, I agree.
The Eagles would rather play the Chiefs. And Joe Burrow is just him. And we got to acknowledge that. But early in the year, I thought they sold their soul on. I thought that the Ravens would even decline a little bit. Both of their defenses are playing phenomenal. And their offenses are playing as advertised, and that's why they're dominant teams. If the Bengals don't have a calf injury to Joe Burrow, they may be sitting up there with the Ravens right now at 7-2 as well. Totally around on the Bengals. There are some teams I have higher than them right now on the hierarchy simply because of their record and how they started. But Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, T. Higgins goes for $110 last week. Jamar Chase defense is buzzing. They do enough, so. Yeah, the Bengals are a really good team. When you made that comment, like, he's going to drop 4 tutties on the Cardinals, I was like, you just better hope so, because he's got some tough opponents. And what does he do? Wins all 4 games. Just runs through all 4 of them.
Yeah. And, I'm not bragging about the Cardinals, but
Right. Everything after that, Seahawks, Niners, Bills. I mean, bop, bop, bop.
Seahawks, Niners, Bills are all in our top 12 teams. I guarantee that. Actually, no. Sorry. The Bills are not. Sorry. Spoiler.
Me neither.
Spoiler, the Bills. But the Bills are a damn good football team, and that's an appreciated win when you win. Beating the Bills is still a good win. Come on.
Not in 2023. Jets and Patriots did it. So
if you beat, we're not going to argue about position. If you beat a top 5, I know you have them in the top 5. You beat a top 5 quarterback in this league, you can brag about it. Period. End of story.
Even with a bad coach, injured defense, and no real threat of, I don't know. Look, the Bills.
Okay. So speaking of quarterbacks and yada, 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 and losing, and I said before this season that I would have Brock Purdy in the top 10 after the season. That was kind of my prediction. Through the first several weeks, I was kind of flexing on that. Like, yeah, Brock Purdy looks unstoppable. He's since looked human. He's 0-3 in his last 3 starts. He's been pretty mediocre, and at times he hasn't been able to drive them back. Now, mind you, he did go against the Browns, very good defense. Joe Burrow, and then I forget who the other one was.
Vikings on Monday night,
which, to be honest, they should have beat the Vikings, but they didn't. Period. They're 0-3. Where are you at on the Niners today? Obviously, those games were without Debo, without Trent Williams, but, I mean, quarterbacks are supposed to be the solution. So where are you at?
Yeah, I think there was some weird stuff with Brock Purdy being hit in the head before his interceptions and some weird talk about possible concussions. Any team that loses a left tackle, let alone back-to-back 99 overall left tackle Trent Williams, your O-line is going to look different. You also lose your Swiss Army knife in Debo Samuel. So the team lost what made them unbeatable to make them a good football team. And Brock Purdy cannot will this team to win, but he can do everything in his control to make them impossible to beat. And what I mean by that is when they have all their weapons, he distributes the ball perfect. He doesn't give the ball to you. You have to do everything perfect and then still win a close game. They lose some things. Brock Purdy has to do more. There are some hits, some tough opponents, and they look human. Not every team has the luxury of losing 3 in a row and still being 5-3 through 8 games. So I still think they're a top team. They do need to get healthy. But Purdy is he has a case for a top 12 quarterback in the league, but there's definitely a cutoff when you talk about like the top 6 of Herbert, Lawrence, Burrow, Allen, Mahomes, like Jackson, those kind of guys. But in the next tier, he throws a pretty ball. He's very good between the ears pre-snap and even post-snap. But the last few weeks, he has looked human. But in terms of the 49ers as a whole, 100% chance they make the postseason, and the 100% don't want to see them when you get there. I think they'll be fine. They just got to get Williams and Debo healthy. I believe Debo's back. Williams is day-to-day, but they just came off their bye. If anything, they'll be back soon. But what a clash this weekend where the Jags and 49ers, both off of a bye, are going to meet each other. Can't wait to watch that game.
You just briefly brought up QB rankings and kind of where Brock Purdy is kind of in that 12, but he's not in the top. Kind of leads into a topic I wanted to discuss. We agree. I know we do. These are the 7. Pat, Joe, Trevor, Lamar, Josh, Jalen, and Herbert. We agree, correct?
All of those are in there. I'm just trying to think if you forgot anyone, but all of those guys are in there.
I don't think I forgot anybody. Those are our 7. Those are our 7 to start the year.
Sure. Yeah. I'm okay. No pushback.
Is CJ flirting with creating this list to be 8? Or is this just like too soon to tell? Where are we at on CJ Stroud? Because he's had 2 games where he's looked incredible. He's had other games where he's looked good. He does not turn the ball over. He is a dome quarterback. He does have a lot of young weapons, defensive coach, and he's still succeeding. Where are we at? Is he close to, let's say this.
I got.
Is he Brock Purdy with a little more talent, or is he closer to this top 8 list?
Name the first quarterback on the list.
Mahomes.
Travis Kelce. Name the next guy. Name
Joe
the next one.
Burrow. Joe Burrow.
Jamar Chase.
Trevor Lawrence.
Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk.
Lamar Jackson.
Mark Andrews, OBJ, Zay Flowers.
Justin Herbert.
Keenan, Mike Williams. I know he hasn't played for a while, but Gerald Everett, Austin Eckler. Go ahead.
Josh Allen.
Stephon Diggs.
Jalen Hurts.
A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Swift.
C.J. Stroud.
Tank Dell, Nico Collins. Like, what an absolute stud. C.J. Stroud, I know that a lot of it was hate. More hate than Bryce Young. But I said C.J. Stroud was the top guy. I think
same. We both agreed.
And then he gets drafted and says, hey, I'd like Tank Dell. What's he do? He's within 10 yards of DeAndre Hopkins and Andre Johnson in their first so many games as a Texan. Like, what C.J. Stroud is doing with a rookie quarterback and rookie head coach, where does that normally get you? What they did to Tampa and that veteran team, I mean, outside of quarterback, those are Super Bowl champions.
Yeah.
And I love C.J. Stroud. I'm not putting him at 8. But there's more film. He's going to face more difficult competition. His division outside of the Jags is relatively easy. But what happened when he played the Jags? He beat them. Like, there needs to be more. This team's got to get better. But C.J. Stroud absolutely is putting his bid in for top 10 quarterback and, like, just a top guy. There's nothing you can say wrong with C.J. Stroud. What is it, 14 tuds and 1 pick so far this year? What a tremendous rookie year he's having. But I mean, he's on pace to have 30 touchdowns and less than 5 picks. That's crazy for any quarterback in the league. We still have to talk about guys like, I think, Jared Goff for the Lions, or Aaron Rodgers if he comes back and plays, Matt Stafford if he could stay healthy. But that's a lot of ifs and what are they looking like. C.J. Stroud's just at the very beginning. And, his comments after beating Tampa, he's like, I don't like to get caught up in personal accolades, but they drafted me 2nd overall, and they expect me to play like that. And it's like, yeah, I like that answer. I like everything about C.J. Stroud. I don't know if I've ever liked an Ohio State guy off the cuff more than that, outside of any that have been drafted to the Steelers, Cameron Hayward, Ryan Shazier. But, I mean, what a fantastic product he's been as a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's been probably the most trolled player I've ever trolled in the history of Ohio State because I was able to finally. But to be honest, once you cross into that NFL, for the most part, I dropped that. He's super likable.
Did want to point that out, and you just hit on it. Been from the front of this podcast for the last 4 years. We do not carry any hatred or dislike from college to the pro based on your team or where you land. Never a chance.
No. Matter of fact, I wanted the Patriots to draft Jackson Smith-Njigba this year. They didn't. I wish we would have drafted C.J. Stroud.
We both would have took Zeke. We both want Marvin Harrison next year.
Yes.
About.
Yes. Yeah. It ain't that personal. It's personal, but it ain't that personal.
I wanted the Steelers to draft Jalen Hurts.
The only two that come to mind, you brought up Jared Goff, and that. Okay.
I'm just saying we're in that next year.
That's fine.
Kirk Cousins, Dak
Prescott. CJ or Tua?
Oh, I forgot about Tua. Health-sized defensive coach. Starting a team right now, I would take C.J. Stroud. But Tua, he's lost every. They're right there. I think they're even. Between 8 and 10. I think those are 2 perfect guys to have right outside the elite group.
Yeah, no, I agree. You're not gonna agree, but CJ or Dak?
Oh, CJ, no shot, shot.
That's fine. It's not worth arguing over. I like Dak. We've always been far apart. All right.
Yes.
Moving on here, hitting all the big topics here. Vikings. So they start 0-4. You called them dead on arrival.
They should have been.
Have they won? Have they? Oh, sorry. They started 1-4. They've won 4 in a row though. They are 5-4.
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs has been great this season, but has now won as many games in a Viking uniform as he did in a Cardinal uniform, and he was there for a cup of coffee. So where are you at on the Vikings today?
Conversation, but listen, I still stand by my decisions based off of their personnel. I believe I have drastically underestimated the coaching staff, Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores. What they have done with that offense, that defense, and that locker room is unbelievably tremendous. I mean, I saw what Brian Flores did for the Steelers defense, but you look at that personnel and you're like, what he's done with Harrison Smith, who they got, Ngakwe, is that who they got? No, Danielle Hunter.
Danielle Hunter, who's leading the league in sacks, by the way. Is that
he was tied with TJ a couple weeks ago. I haven't looked at updated rankings.
Okay.
I know that Khalil Mack's had a ton of sacks, stuff but either way, he's those two guys and just guys. And that offense, you lose Kirk, you lose Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison's a dog. I mean, what a tremendous he's turned out to be. I just underestimated what that coaching staff could do. And also, I was so on the train of Kirk Cousins going to the Falcons that I kind of selfishly wanted it to go bad a little bit too. But how do you not just love this team every time you watch them? I mean, aren't they just like the perfect little, I want the Vikings to do good. There's spots open for the 6 and 7 seed in the NFC. Kevin O'Connell, I have a soft spot for coming from the Steelers, never really getting a full chance. It's okay, it happens, but I liked how he handled himself. He's done well. You see all the videos about him in the locker room or on the sideline. Just, again, their personnel, I didn't think would be capable of this. Jordan Addison's better than I anticipated. Quick, he's as good as I thought he could be, but way sooner.
Yeah.
TJ Hawkinson's an absolute dog. Justin Jefferson's now about to come back, but Kevin O'Connell, Brian Flores, what those coaches, they're only 5-4, and it's still better than what I thought they could be. I mean, I had this team at 7-10, still on the table, but I mean, they're already at 5 of those 7 wins. You got to anticipate it being better. Packers aren't as good as I thought. Bears are. I mean, we both thought they would be much better. But, the Vikings have it all to play for. And you look at the Vikings, they still have both of their 2 games against the Lions, and they're the last 3 weeks of the season. So they get some cohesion with a quarterback and figure this thing out. And who knows, Vikings screw around and do some cool stuff. But I am on board. I'm not going to plant my flag and say I'm so mad. It looks like I am wrong on the Vikings and the Bengals. But maybe when I was sitting there thinking I should have locked them in to not make the playoffs, I should have parlayed them to make the playoffs to turn in some cash. But no, I really enjoy what's going on with the Vikings. And gosh, they are just an easy team to wrap up your arms. I hope Kirk comes back. It seems like he wants to. Got his kids, his family, the house, the TV show. I think he's going to re-up, and the Vikings are just going to keep running this thing, man.
You think that's what he's going to do? You think they're going to re-sign him?
I do. I think Kirk has made so much money in guarantees that he's going to go and say, look, like, I have TJ Hawkinson, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison. Let's keep this group together and let's score 35 points a game. I mean, to the Niners. They smacked them around. Kirk threw for like 400 yards on the Niners. Like, this team can go. They just said, hey, get rid of Dalvin Cook. Madison, draft a guy in the 5th round. Let's run whatever running back we need to. The O-line, their draft picks are hitting. Kirk's not a runner. He stood in the pocket versus the 49ers and dotted them to death without Justin Jefferson. I think that they could just say, in today's NFL, let's get young and fast on defense, pay guys on offense, and follow the Chiefs' method. I mean, they feel they're so much better than the Bears and Packers that it's them and the Lions. And if you look across the whole NFC, they believe that they're sending both of them to the playoffs every year. I just think Kirk, with his kids getting older, how much money he's made. I mean, you saw the house and stuff on the Netflix series that he lives in.
Yeah.
He waived his no trade. He's like, I'm not getting out of here. I am a Viking. And I believe the more everyone's seen about him, the more not only everyone else, but the Vikings fans, like, Kirk is their guy. That is his home. Like, we look at Kirk like he's some journeyman. He has moved around times, but he's been good everywhere he goes, and the Vikings are his squad. And I believe if he wins a Super Bowl ring, it'll be in the purple and gold. I've switched. I think he's a Viking. I think he stays with the Vikings. He's 35, coming off an Achilles. He'll sign a 4-year friendly deal with enough guaranteed to where he's set for life. In the next 4 years, we're going to see Justin Jefferson balling in Minnesota and Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
I think they love everything about this team, and I think everyone else does. And there's some teams that have a bad season, and the media's all out to get them. Everywhere you look on any TV show, this podcast, public, private, it seems like everything is buy stocks now on the Vikings. They're slingshotting. You just got to hope that he can bounce back from an Achilles, because that's always a scary injury. Do you see Cam Akers?
Yeah. They just got him, too.
Other Achilles, too.
Yeah.
It's his other Achilles, not the one he tore last year.
Oh. Dang.
Yeah, he tore his right with the Rams, came back, had that playoff push, traded to the Vikings this year, tore his left Achilles.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's when I saw it, I was like, oh, he retore it because he came back too soon. It was his other one.
Damn.
And he's a running back, dude. He's done. He's not coming back.
Speaking of Achilles and coming back, this will probably be our last topic, and then we'll go into the rankings. Derwin James asked Aaron Rodgers when they're going to see you, and Rodgers says a few weeks. There's no fucking way he takes a snap, correct?
If they had the Eagles or Lions offensive line, 100%. But it's the Jets O-line. I don't think you can come back.
Dude, there's no way that Achilles is healed. It's been
Couple weeks, Jeff.
That
boy's 3-step dropping, ripping 60-yarders. He's on ayahuasca, getting a new surgery that's designed for rotator cuffs. I mean, I just think that whether it's computers or cars or smart boards in a classroom or an Achilles surgery, technology is so much farther than you know if you don't look into it. And Aaron Rodgers has done a new kind of surgery. He's got shoes. He can move around. Everything he's doing is beyond far ahead of pace. So let's say in a month, 4 more games, the Jets reel off, they're 8-5. It would be like, sweet, Aaron could come back. He wants to do it. But there's going to be a lot of throwaways. He can scamper. But this Jets offensive line is so fucking bad. So bad. So bad. I mean, people want to dog on Zach Wilson. He has no shot to even try to be good. Like, it's just, you hear that?
I did hear that.
You can't come back behind this O-line, period. Even if you're medically able to, you cannot come back with an Achilles behind that O-line. You just can't.
Yeah, first off, I don't think they're winning too many more games that Rodgers would even risk it.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. All right.
Where are the Jets at? Let's look at just their next 4.
Yeah, go ahead. What do you got?
At Raiders.
Winnable.
This Sunday.
Winnable.
Definitely winnable. At the Bills. Already beat them.
Yeah.
Host the Jets. Or host the Dolphins. It depends on if the Jets have a winning record by then, because, I mean.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like they would win that game.
And they host.
Who's the last one?
Host the Falcons.
I like the Falcons more personally, but yeah,
well,
I mean, the Jets defense has just been so frisky good. It's like, damn.
Yeah, you kind of want to look at pass rushes, and it's like Texans are decent. Dolphins have a good pass rush. They play the Commanders then, who sold their pass rush. Then they're at the Browns, and then they're at the Patriots. Patriots don't have much of a pass rush after Judon went down. So it's like outside of the Browns, they don't play like a Parsons or a Bosa or a Watt. They do play Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith, though, in that defense. But I don't know. The AFC seems so loaded that it's like that line with Aaron Rodgers, I mean, are you beating the Bengals, Chiefs, Ravens? I don't know. I'm sure they think in their locker room they could, but it's interesting.
Let's get the rankings here. So we've been kind of doing them simultaneous. I don't know how close they're going to be. Let's try it.
That's fine.
Number 1, Eagles.
I agree. There's only one option for 1 or 2. You can split them, but it's Eagles, Chiefs, 1 and 2.
I disagree.
You don't have the Chiefs at 2.
I don't.
You have the Ravens.
I do.
Okay, you know what? I was ambitious. I have the Ravens at 3. Same record, you could absolutely say Ravens at 2. Who are the Chiefs' 2 losses though?
The Lions and the Broncos.
So 1 good and 1 bad. The Ravens have lost to the Steelers and
the Colts.
I like the Chiefs' losses better. I know I'm doing that on the spot, but okay, Eagles at 1. Can we agree that Chiefs, Ravens at 2 and 3? But you have the Chiefs at 3, I'd assume. Oh man, you just hate Patrick Mahomes. This is Brady Mahomes hate. It's got to be.
Dude, this has nothing to do with this. Honestly, has nothing to do with Mahomes. They have no wide receivers to speak of. They can't beat the freaking Denver Broncos. Okay. Who suck.
It's a game on the road.
They did beat the Dolphins, but I'll wait. You tell me one single team the Dolphins have beat that's impressed you. I'll wait.
The Chiefs have the same wide receiver core that they won the Super Bowl with.
I don't give a shit. They weren't good last year either with that wide receiver core. Travis Kelce was better and not hurt. Patrick Mahomes was better. The offensive line was better. No.
You don't have the Chiefs in the top 3.
No, I have the Bengals at 3. I have the Bengals at 3.
That's crazy.
How is that crazy?
No shot. No shot.
How is that crazy? The Bengals annihilated the Niners.
They're not as good as the Chiefs.
They're better than the Chiefs.
Okay.
Who do you have 3? Ravens?
The Chiefs. Or the Ravens, yes.
Who do you have 4?
I had the Jaguars.
Okay. I have the Jaguars 4.
We can agree on that.
Okay. Do you have the Bengals?
Best team
Do you have the
AFC.
Bengals 5?
Huh?
Do you have the Bengals 5?
No.
You're disrespecting the Bengals, and I'm not here for it.
Yeah,
You are disrespecting the Bengals.
Last time we talked,
time out. You have to take the Bengals first month and throw it out the window.
Why?
What do you mean, why? They're 2 different teams, Brad.
Chiefs loss against the Lions. We're counting the Ravens losses. Those are earlier in the year.
Joe Burrow without a calf and Joe Burrow with a giant penis are 2 different things.
The Bengals are climbing. They weren't even close to being on the list a month ago. They're climbing they're on it. They're on here. They're ahead of some good teams.
Okay. As it sits right now, my first 4, Eagles, Ravens, Bengals, Jags. Yours are Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, Jags. Okay.
Yes.
Who is your 5th team? Mine is the Chiefs.
Yes. So my 5 and 6 are teams that you don't like as much that I do. My 5, I still have the 49ers.
Okay, I have them 6.
Okay, I have the 49ers 5. They're still banged up. They're banged up. They have some losses, had injuries to their starting quarterback. They're listing their left tackle and I still think number 1 receiver. So there's a lot of problems there. I think they should have won some games. They have slid from the dominant number 1 all the way to 5 over these last 3 weeks.
Yes.
And number 6, we've talked about this. We disagree. I have the Lions still.
Okay, and I have the Lions 7.
Okay. 7 is where I have the Bengals.
So clearly that is our biggest issue. Everywhere else is pretty much there.
And how much higher you had the Bengals season? is where you have them now. We've each moved up the same increments. I had them dead in the water, missing the playoffs. You had them as the 1 seed in the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
I looked good the first month. You have looked better the second month. They've moved up the same. We just had them starting at a different spot. I mean, you had them sneaking in at 12 after like 2 wins, and I was like, they're not even close yet. They might lose to the Cardinals. Like, I was out on the Bengals. So, yes, let's remove the Bengals. Tell me your order 1.
Removing the Bengals?
Remove the Bengals 1 through 6.
Okay. Eagles, Ravens. Remove Bengals. Jags, Chiefs, Niners, Lions.
Okay, mine is Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens, Jags, 49ers, Lions. Outside of the Bengals just being 4 spots ahead, we are virtually lockstep on our teams.
And we have the same 7 teams.
Yes. So, boom. So, yeah, they're going to get us a little heated. But, I mean, I'm not picking them to lose this week. I don't even know who they play. I mean, the Bengals are better than a lot of teams.
I do find it interesting that you had the Niners over the Bengals, and the Bengals slaughtered them. Now, they were missing 2 pieces, but fine.
Yes. The Niners have just done some crazy-ass shit the first 5 weeks, and I just feel like injuries have caught up, and those players are coming. If Trent Williams was out for the year, Debo's done for the year.
Yeah.
Bengals are ahead of him. We're pretty much right there.
Who's your 8? I have a feeling it's the Dolphins.
I do have the Dolphins at 8.
I have the Dolphins too. That's why I had a feeling.
I thought you'd have the Cowboys, honestly.
I have the Cowboys at 9.
So do I. I have the Cowboys at 9.
Okay.
They're like the AFC and NFC team that like are the best great team, but they're not elite.
Yeah.
And for the Dolphins, that puts them as the 5th best team, I think.
I'm going to go on a limb. I think I'm going to nail your next 3.
Oh, I can't wait to hear this. I don't think you will. Who's 10?
Steelers, Seahawks, Browns.
You're right on one of them.
Do I have the 3 teams correct?
2.
Interesting. Okay. So let's go with number 10 here. I have the Steelers.
I put the Vikings.
Time to fuck.
I love
So you're willing to crown the Vikings right now, but you won't crown the Bengals.
So the Bengals are higher. However, the Ravens, Bengals, Jags, and the Vikings are the only teams on 4 or higher win streaks. So the Bengals have gone an entire month of football without losing. I think they've beaten really good teams along the way. That's why I have them there. I don't know if they'll stay there. I have the Seahawks. I put them above the Steelers. I have the Steelers at 12.
So you left the Browns off.
The Browns and Bills are the first 2 teams. Well, Chargers are up there too. We won't even talk about teams that didn't make the list.
Yeah.
The Browns, I feel like, are winning. Like everyone, how they describe the Steelers, the Browns are doing that like worse than the Steelers. Like their defense is carrying a shit quarterback. The Steelers' defense is carrying a mediocre quarterback. Like the Browns' quarterback is awful. So I did put them right off the list, but like you mentioned pre-pod, there's a lot of good teams.
So I did say this real quick. So the last time we potted, the Browns were going to be playing the Seahawks, and I left the Browns off regrettably. And I said, if they beat the Seahawks, I'm putting them not just in my top 12, but in my top 7. You remember I said that?
I do remember.
They lost to the Seahawks. Right. But then they didn't just beat. They shut out an NFL team, which I don't care how bad you are. That's impressive. They beat them 27-0. Yeah. 27-0. That's a good win. I know it's a bad football team. Okay? They continue to win games. They continue to win in weird ways. If they get, well, you just said it. It's been dog shit. If they get good to mediocre quarterback play, they can be very good.
Yeah.
I had them at 11. I didn't think that was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I had them at 12. I'm sorry. I have them at 12.
So where I'm at, I think the Seahawks are a better team, and they beat them.
Yep.
And for the Browns, like the Vikings have played one more game, but I just looked at it as I told you I had the Bengals and Vikings really low. I still have the Bengals 7 spots higher, but those are two teams that are on 4-game win streaks.
Yeah.
I just the Vikings are getting Justin Jefferson back. They were a number 1 team in the NFC, and I mean, I don't know. I guess their wins outside of the 49ers haven't been as impressive. Maybe they seem more like it because of their quarterback situation. And it is a little bit weird. Maybe the Bengals should be higher, but I just put the Vikings there out of just like
I don't hate the Vikings there, but I just think you have a hair higher than they probably should be.
if
But
the Vikings
you didn't give equal respect to the Bengals.
if the Vikings played the Seahawks Browns this weekend, I would take the Vikings to lose. So if you look at it that way, maybe just the love of the Vikings, the allure. The Browns and Bengals are both in my division, so maybe there's just some bias that I just had naturally. The Lions are above the Bengals again. NFC North teams I don't really give a shit about, and they're just fun to watch. So maybe the AFC North component has brought them two teams down a bit. Both great teams. Both definitely have a chance to make the playoffs. Maybe I should have just I actually erased it and moved it. I had the Seahawks at 10, Vikings at 11, but I changed it, and maybe the Steelers should be ahead of the Vikings, but I always feel like I'm being a little bit of a homer when I put the Steelers up there somewhere like that because I do recognize their flaws. So there's a little bit of give and take from 10 down. We both agree the Cowboys and Dolphins belong at the spot, one AFC, one NFC. I still, in my mind, I think the Lions would beat the Bengals this weekend if they played. I think that. I know you're different on it. I think the Lions would win, but
not a chance.
My whole look on the Lions changes if they lose to the Chargers this weekend, because we talked about how easy kind of the Lions' schedule is the rest of the way until the last 3 games. Chargers is really the competitive team in that mix. Like the Lions have I don't want to say walkover schedule, but we could say it one more time. After the Chargers, it's Bears, Packers, Saints, Bears, Broncos. Like that's their next 5. So it's like if they lose to the Chiefs, it's like any wins after that, it's like I need to see them beat a good team again.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, but yeah, outside of our disagreement on the Bengals, we're pretty much right there. I still think the Chiefs are the cream of the crop in the AFC. I know they lost to the Broncos. I don't know how much you want to look into the whole IV players were sick type thing. I mean, they beat the Broncos last time the Broncos won. Obama was in office.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're that far off. The Bengals coming in at 3 for you and 7 at me did make it seem like our lists were going to be so fucking different, but they're pretty much right there.
Yeah.
It's got to be said, though. Dolphins. Can we beat a team with a winning record?
Seriously.
Please. Can we just do that?
Seriously.
They could be 5-4. They could be 5-4. They don't have to be ejected.
Beat a team with a winning record.
Please. I don't care if it's on U.S. soil or not. Just do it one time.
1000% agree.
Actually, you want to – when are they going to get the chance, Jeff? You want to hear the Dolphins' next 4?
Sure.
Jets, Commanders, Titans, Jets.
Those are 4 average to below average teams.
You want to hear their last 3, though, kind of?
Sure.
Cowboys, Ravens, Bills.
Cowboys, Ravens. Oh, that gets a little tough.
We'll see because the Bills are going to be clawing for playoff life in that last week.
Yeah.
And the other 2 teams are going to be fighting for division leads or number 1 seeds. So we'll see what the Dolphins are. It'll be a good team to bet on the next month. But those last 3. I'll tell you what, I feel like the more I look at individual teams and try and piece it in my mind, the last 3 weeks of the NFL season, they tried to pack like 2 divisional games for teams.
They did it on purpose.
Yeah, those last 3 weeks into the playoffs. Sheesh. I just had a little topic I wanted to talk about, though, as we approach the end of the NFL. I want to comments, concerns, anything you would change on the top 10 potentially, any talking points of the top 10 of the college football playoff. I know you sometimes go on Dan, shout out Dan, his podcast and talk about it. But I had no idea I would be this much into college sports. Texas went to the Elite Eight, I believe, in basketball, or Sweet 16, one of the two. I already forget. It's crazy. And they've been tremendous since I've watched them last year and this year. How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Would you change anything, or would you entertain any ideas for change in the top 10 of the playoff?
Top 10 or top 12?
I mean, you can go to top 12. I only have really the top 10 in front of me. But I don't. Who's 11 and 12? I don't even remember.
Oh, you're just talking about the current college football playoff standings.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
The ones that came out last night.
Yeah. CFP rankings. Hang on, I gotta pull it up.
Yeah, no problem. Pull it up. I just found this. Again, you guys listening while he's pulling it up. We do very, very minimal talking before the pod. We kind of spring stuff on each other, as I just did to Jeff. And it just makes it fun for us and hopefully for you.
Yeah, so here's where I'm at. First off, when it comes to their rankings, I posted this on Facebook the other day.
That's what I'm asking about, kind of too.
Nope. I respect that they put Ohio State at 1 because they had arguably at the time the 2 best wins. They might even still have the 2 best wins. But what I didn't quite understand is that Washington didn't get the same respect because they have the single best win, singular win. Okay. Arguably, they have another one that's pretty respectable too. But they've beat the number 6 team in the country. So therefore, wouldn't you move Washington above Florida State or even Michigan for that matter?
So far, we're on the same page. Because if you want to value best win or worst loss or resume or eye test, I feel like those are the 4 criteria. Mm-hmm. I do believe Ohio State should be 1 based on resume. I still believe Georgia and Michigan should be 2 and 3 because although their resume doesn't quite support it, the eye test is overwhelming for those 2 teams.
They're blowing their opponents out.
Correct. Michigan has won by us every game, and they're still playing teams. Like, they field 11 guys. I am lockstep with you on your first point. I'm going to let you make more if you want to. Washington has to be 4. Florida State has played 1 great half of football, and the rest they've won, and they've looked good at times. We know that Washington's going to play Oregon again. You have to put Washington at 4 for their win against Oregon. That's how
I made my prediction actually last night. Dan and I recorded a pod, and I made my final prediction. I have Michigan 1. Okay.
Wait, this is like for the end of the year?
This is literally how I feel like it will go out. I have Michigan running the table. And because they run the table, they will finish at 1. I have Florida State running the table. I don't think they lose. There's nobody that's going to test them. I understand you don't think they're very good, and I don't disagree. But I think
it's not even about that. It's just like I feel like I opened up a can of worms because this could literally go another fucking half hour. That's why I'm a little frustrated.
It's fine. I then have – you ready for this?
I can't wait.
I have Alabama beating Georgia.
Jeff, here's my conundrum real quick. Do I wait till they play to bet on Bama, or do I bet them to win the SEC right now?
Bet them right now.
Beating Georgia when they play. I don't know which odds will be higher. That's what I'm frustrated with.
The odds are higher now.
Texas beat Bama, and for 3 weeks, including you, shout out, just put it out there, no fault of yours. Alabama was -7 versus somebody, and I had like 3 people text me, stay away, and I said,
I told you.
Bet Bama. I have made money on Bama every single week. They are so good. Like, people were underestimating Texas, but at the time also being like, oh, Bama's not it this year. Continue. You have Bama at 3. Oh,
I do, and it's going to be disappointing to you. And
That's fine.
I have Oregon getting in at 4, beating Washington to end the year. Texas will be left out with only 1 win. Somebody has to be left out. And I understand you beat Bama, but Bama will then beat Georgia, and you lost to a 2-loss Oklahoma team. Their loss will be better, unfortunately.
Could be 3 or 4, but
and this is, by the way, this is why we need a
3 or 4
team.
losses.
Because I have Texas with 1 loss, losing. Washington with 1 loss, losing. That is unfair. Ohio State with 1 loss. I have 3 one-loss teams missing the playoffs. Ohio State will lose 1 game. It'll be to Michigan. Texas will lose 1 game to Bama. Georgia will lose 1 game to Bama. Washington will lose 1 game to Oregon.
Texas would get pushed out of whatever bowl it is because Georgia and Ohio State would play.
You're right.
And Texas would be kicked to 7.
You're
But
right.
here was another crazy thing too. Like I just saw a list. It was before last week was played. LSU was number 1. Texas was number 2 in this list that I saw. And it was record of teams you've played against. Texas had the second best win-loss of all the teams that they have played throughout the season. Of course, that goes deeper. Well, who are you playing? What are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. But it was like the teams Texas had played and beat. Texas was 7-1 at the time. And it was like 42-27 or something like that. And I was like, gosh darn it. And then I talked to a guy at work and I was like, let's just say for Ohio, let's just say Ohio State or Michigan, whichever one. One of them goes undefeated.
Sure.
That's a Big Ten team.
Correct.
Let's say Washington and Florida State go undefeated. Just to enter the 0-loss teams. So that's 3 undefeated teams.
Yep.
And then Bama beats Georgia.
Yep.
You'll have Ohio State, Texas, Bama, Georgia, all 1-loss teams fighting for that last spot. And I'm just sitting there looking at my guy, and I was like, listen, Bama and Texas would be the champions of their conference, so I think that would put them ahead. And Texas beat Bama. There's a 0% chance they leave the SEC out.
Here's what needs to happen.
Like, I don't know how Texas could win out and win the Big 12, and there's like 3 different scenarios where I'm like, dude, I don't think Texas can get in. I don't think they can get in. Like, they're gonna be what creates the whole, like, how is it not a 12-team playoff if they run the table?
Yes.
Like, Texas has to hope Michigan, Georgia, and Washington and Florida State, like, we could still have 4 undefeated teams in the playoff. Texas is left out. Bama beats Georgia. Texas is probably left out. Michigan loses to Ohio State. Michigan still might get in.
Let me interrupt you quickly because you've basically said it, but you beat around the bush. This is not arrogance. The winner of Michigan, Ohio State, the winner of Georgia, Bama, those are locked. They are getting in. I don't care if Georgia or Bama has 1 loss. They are getting in. An SEC and a Big Ten will get in. End of story. The other 2 spots are open. Everybody that's Texas, Oregon, Washington, they need to be cheering for a Florida State loss because an ACC team with a single loss will be left out. But undefeated, they will be in.
We need Louisville.
You pray to God that Louisville and Jeff Brom take them out.
This is what brings me to the next point, and I know I'm a Texas fan. Texas has 1 loss.
Yep.
It was at a neutral site.
Yep.
Oregon has 1 loss. It was away. Oregon, as of right now, definitely has the better loss than Texas. But Texas has a better win than Oregon has. If Texas would have been ranked by the committee at 6 and Oregon at 7, you could then make the case that if Texas wins the Big 12 and Oregon rematches Washington on neutral site and wins, the Pac-12 would be left out and Texas would go in. Because I feel like if there is a bias rating by the committee, they would say, like, let's say Georgia, Bama. And people are like, man, the SEC, like, LSU wasn't what we thought they were. Ole Miss isn't cracked up. Texas A&M wasn't as good. Bama beats Georgia. But could they say Texas beat Bama? And like you said, let's say Bama beats Georgia in the SEC championship. And they're both 1 loss. And Texas is 1 loss. And you'd be like, they're not going to get in over Bama even though they beat them. Could they get away in their minds of saying, we have 5, Michigan ran the table, they're in. Washington or Oregon, sure, whatever. Let's say Washington runs the table for this. Michigan, Washington, and Florida State ran the table undefeated, they're in. Texas wins the Big 12 championship. Bama beats Georgia to win the SEC championship. So there's 3 one-loss teams, remove Georgia. You have Bama, Texas. They would say Texas beat Bama, they're in. Well, there's no SEC team. Well, Texas is next year. So basically there is an SEC team in because it's Texas. They're an SEC team. They'll be there next year anyway. And you would have the first college playoff without an SEC team because there's 3 undefeateds. And out of the one-loss teams, Texas has the best resume because they beat Bama. The highest win out of any of those teams at one loss.
Brad, I'm going to be sick for you because that wouldn't happen, buddy.
Come on.
It wouldn't.
Man. You can't just say
they're not leaving the SEC champion out with 1 loss. They will not do it.
Hey, they lost in Tuscaloosa. You hear me? They lost in by 2 tutties. We beat the shit out of them, Jeff. But we'll remove it this way. This is how we'll end it. TCU at 7:30. Okay, 1 week at a time. Texas, by the way, if you're interested in them at all, maybe for me, for you, for anything, next 3 games are 7:30, 7:30, 8 o'clock. So everyone's going to be seeing Texas.
What are Texas's odds to win the title? Do you know? Have you seen them?
So here's the thing. Well, I don't know the odds, but as of last week, there was 5 one-loss teams in the Big 12. 3 of them lost. Oklahoma State under Mike Gundy and Texas under Sark are the only one-loss teams left. Even if we lose to make it back, but we have at TCU. I forget who we're at next week. And then we finish with Texas Tech. They're all unranked. I know that.
So, but still, did you beat Oklahoma State?
We don't play them. We didn't play them this year. It would be our first matchup if we played them in the Big 12 championship. But Oklahoma State's ranked like what, 12th now?
They're currently 15th at 7-2.
Okay, so they went out and you guys beat Penn State or Oregon State potentially loses. Say Missouri beats Tennessee. There's a chance that it could be number 7 versus like number 11. And our wins would be over not Oklahoma, but Kansas State, who is ranked 23, Oklahoma State, who is ranked 11th, and Bama, who is ranked 7th, or 8th. So there's a chance we could have 3. Obviously, we're just spitballing, shooting out random things. We still got to win 3 games. I wish I could remember. We're at TCU, at somewhere, and then we host Texas Tech.
Well, I mean, as long as the backup quarterback doesn't cost you should be good.
Shit. Not in the walkover, but we're at TCU, at Iowa State. Then we host Texas Tech.
They don't have Brock Purdy anymore. You'll be all right.
And we need Quinn Ewers back in a bad way.
All right. We're going to hit these 5 spread picks. We're going to give a early preview to our dog, though we will not be held to it.
I'm going to give one quick thing real quick.
Hit me.
As of today, if the 12-team playoff was a real thing, this is how it would look right now. Have you seen this?
I mean, I'm looking at it, so kind of.
Oh, you're looking at what it would look like right now?
No, I'm looking at literally just the ranking, so I can kind of picture it.
Based on their criteria and the format, this is what it looked like. The number 1 seed is Ohio State. They would play the winner of the 8-9 game, which is Bama versus Ole Miss. Bama would host. The 4 seed would be Washington. They would host the winner of Michigan versus Tulane. Michigan would host in the Big House. The number 3 seed would be Florida State. They would host the winner of Oregon versus Louisville, hosted by the Ducks. And in one of the craziest matchups, number 2, the Georgia Bulldogs, would play the winner of Texas Penn in Texas. Like, how juicy are all? I mean, Michigan would fucking dog walk Tulane.
Well, it's funny you're saying Tulane. The college football playoff has Tulane at 23.
So here's why. Here's why, Jeff. It doesn't necessarily mean they have to be in the top 6, but the top 6 conference winners make the playoff. So you have the Power 5, and then you have the best non-Power 5 conference winner automatically makes it. That would be Tulane.
Timeout. Even if they're undeserving?
You didn't even know that, did you? Yes.
No.
So half of the playoffs, 6 of the 12 teams, are conference winners. So it's the Power 5 winners, which gets muddied because the Pac-12 is going to have like 2 teams. So it'll be the
Power. Going to exist. They're going to move.
Yeah. So it'll be the Power 4 winners and 2, like the Sun Belt and the MAC or whatever those conference winners are in.
Mountain West, whatever it may be.
Correct. Now, only conference winners have the ability to get a bye. So the top 4 have to be conference winners. That's why Michigan gets pushed to 5.
Yeah.
Now, if you're a conference winner and you're not in the top 4, they can put you anywhere from 5 to 12 that they want. So Tulane, as of this year, being the 6th conference champion, but still being the worst ranked team, would immediately be 12. They would kick out Oklahoma State, who's I think who's number 12 right now in the actual ranking?
Oregon State.
Yeah, Oregon State, not Oklahoma State.
Yeah.
Be kicked out for Tulane. That's why they go to 10. And then Michigan, who's number 3, they get pushed back to 5, which pushes Washington into number 4.
I mean, that won't happen because we're going to beat Ohio State's ass, but I get it.
Sure. But yeah, next year, if the Pac-12's dead, it'll be the Big 10, Big 12, Pac-12, and SEC winners, and then 2 other conference winners. That's why people were saying there may be something for the at-large teams that aren't in
they're going to rewrite
conference,
that.
i.e. game.
They're going to rewrite that.
That's why maybe they just rewrite it to the Power 4 champions get a bye, and then everything else is at large. I don't know how they will, but that's why a lot of people were doing extra pushing for Notre Dame to join the conference because, sure, they can make the 12 team. They're ineligible for a bye by default because they're not in a conference.
Yeah.
But that's why Tulane would get pushed in there for Michigan, even if they're undeserved.
Which you would love. You would love. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, Michigan rolling a team 51-3 while you're hammered to start the playoff that Friday. I mean, let's get off to it. Let's just start off with a free bet. Hey, first playoff games today. Are you taking Michigan minus 37.5, or are we taking Tulane? You think they keep it close?
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's fun.
All right, first game. Niners at
sure.
Jags.
We gotta go quick through these.
What?
So we gotta go kind of quick. It's unhealthy how bad I gotta pee.
Okay. Well, hey, we're already over an hour. Let's just do this. Let's just smash these quick. Niners at Jags. Jags +3. What do you like?
Jags are getting a full field goal at home with some injuries to the Niners, both off a bye. Give me the Jags.
Completely agree. Browns at Ravens. Ravens -6.
Ravens beat them by 20, but DTR was playing. This time they have an equally as bad quarterback. Ravens by probably 10 to 13. I'll take Ravens minus a touchdown.
It's too close of a game with this Browns defense. I like the Browns to cover, not win. Browns with plus the points for me. Lions at Chargers. Chargers +3.
Chargers just played on Monday night, short week. Lions coming off of a bye, got a statement. Who knows what kind of crowd it's going to be. Lions are going to win by a field goal, or I think that's more likely than the Chargers winning. Give me the Lions off a bye.
Completely agree. Texans at Bengals. Bengals -6.5.
Bengals at home. I do like C.J. Stroud versus this defense. I like the Bengals to win, but I like the Texans within a touchdown. They do play close most of the time, even if they lose. Give me the Bengals 27-21 in a perfect line. Texans to cover by 0.5.
I do think this is a great line, but I think the Bengals can beat them by potentially 10. I like the Bengals 28-20. Broncos at Bills. Bills -7.5. Puke.
How are you giving the Bills over a touchdown? Hammer the Broncos off a bye. Sean Payton's still the coach.
Completely agree. I will say this. It seems like when the Bills do win, they blow people out, but I just like the Broncos coming off a big win and a bye to cover 7.5. Give me the Broncos plus the points. And then give me your way too early dog. You don't have to lock it in completely.
I just closed it. I don't know. I don't have one right now.
As of right now, Patriots plus 1.5. We'll see you guys next time.
2 fans, 12 rings.
We're out.